Joining us now is former Trump envoy Jason Greenblatt. Shalom.
Shalom, great to be with you.
So first of all, I can guess who you're voting for on Tuesday, but share with us your feelings really about the significance of these elections in terms of Israel and the region.
Of course. Well, first of all, I already cast my ballot. I did a mail-in vote. I think this election is probably the most historic and important election of my lifetime. I think the difference in the two candidates is stark. We have a candidate who people may not like, or some people may not like how he speaks or tweets from time to time, posts on social media, but he's proven himself. He's proven himself with respect to the United States and very, very strong, important policies for domestic issues. But he's also proven himself for a region that I hold near and dear to my heart. First of all, the Jewish state of Israel, and of course, the rest of the region, the Abraham Accords, and everything else that he accomplished during his presidency. The other candidate, Vice President Kamala Harris, I think we don't really know what she stands for, right? I've been actually out there defending President Biden. I think since October 7, there are many, many important things that President Biden did, even if there are certain things that I disagree with heavily. I think he did make many mistakes, but he's done some very, very important things for the state of Israel. Kamala Harris, I don't think has it. I don't think she has the knowledge. I don't think she has it in her kishkas. I don't think she really understands the problems that Israel faces day in and day out, even beyond October 7th. So to me, the choice is clear.
Were you disappointed when you started seeing the pressures coming from Washington instead of the 100% backing that we at least felt during the first weeks after the October 7th massacre?
Yes, I certainly was. Obviously, some of it was political, but I want to be careful. President Biden has done some very, very important things for Israel. He did start off his presidency making some serious mistakes, saying initially he wouldn't, he didn't even want to use the word Abraham Accords. It took about a year for them to use that term. He was very disrespectful to Saudi Arabia and the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. He has since repaired that. And after October 7, he visited Israel. That's very, very important. He sent weapons, but then, of course, he took away some weapons. So it's been a mixed bag, but largely speaking, I think he's done some important things. I think we need to be grateful, despite his mistakes, despite his not 100% support of Israel. But with Kamala Harris, I think you're going to face something very, very different, and it concerns me a lot.
And in that spirit, if Harris wins, what do you think we'll see?
Well, it's hard to tell when somebody's on stage and someone else accuses Israel of committing genocide, and she stands there and doesn't challenge it. So I'm not sure that we're going to see the kind of support, first of all, at the United Nations that we're accustomed to seeing for Israel. Certainly we had with President Trump and even President Biden. I don't think we're going to be surprised when weapons issues come up again. I think we're going to see a lot of pressure on Israel not to hit back against the Iranian regime. I think we're going to get a lot of pressure on Israel to stop its war, its important, just war against Hamas, and of course against Hezbollah. I think we're going to see a lot of pressure. And I think the state of Israel, in particular, Bibi Netanyahu, knows how to deal with that. But of course, things would be much better if they didn't have to deal with that. Israel right now has tremendous pressure and challenges as it stands. It certainly doesn't need a president in the Oval Office who is going to make matters worse.
Now, regarding the region and the situation, as someone who was part of the Abraham Accords, do you feel that there's now future in that direction? Some even say that Hamas was motivated by the fear that Saudi Arabia was going to join the Accords.
Many say that, and I believe that that's true. I think, unfortunately, the positions have hardened in a way that's unhelpful when it comes to pushing forward with the Abraham Accords. But with the right leader in the Oval Office, I hope that this is actually potentially an opportunity because so much has been turned over in the Middle East because of what's happened with Hamas, what's happened with Hezbollah, Israel's success when it comes to Hezbollah, Israel's success at both attacking Iran in terms of weakening it to some degree, and finally unmasking what Iran is to the region, the threat that it is, not just to Israel, but to the entire region. I think with the right leadership, we can make progress. But the devil is going to be in the details, of course. What the Saudis' position is right now is different than it was when we were in the administration. And I think we're going to have to work through that very, very carefully, very, very closely. But if I could offer any advice to the state of Israel, it's listen to listen to the interlocutors. You may not be able to give them what they're looking for. They may be asking for too much. It's true. but don't dismiss it. Engage with them, engage with their asks, engage with what they think the right solution should be, and then explain to them why some of those solutions are either impossible, unfair, inappropriate, or out of the question.
Last but not least, the rise in anti-Semitism. How do you think this challenge needs to be dealt with? Or, is there really no way to beat this ancient hate?
Well, sadly, I don't think there's a way to fully beat the ancient hate. But what happened here, and this is where I fault President Biden and certainly Vice President Kamala Harris, I think we were too weak on what happened here. The protests on college campuses went beyond mere protesting. The city street protests we saw break out throughout the country, the hatred, the vile bile that came out of people's mouths and actions. And I think it has to come from the top. I think the White House has to set a tone the same way they set a tone against other minorities, against other religions. They have to be clear, not just in words, but in actions, and punish those people who do it. I think funding should be cut from college campuses who allow it. Even those who allow initially some of these students were arrested and then they were let back in to the campuses. We're completely inconsistent with how we deal with it. We say one thing and say it's not acceptable, but our actions show it indeed is acceptable. We have to be much harsher, swifter, and more thorough and consistent in our response.
Jason Greenblatt, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.